The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
All right, at the beginning of the year, the price of Solana, a major competitor to smart contract protocol Ethereum, was just under $2. At its peak, Solana this month skyrocketed to over $200 and now sits around the $160 mark. That's a price increase of about 8,000% year to date. Earlier, I had a chance to speak to Anatoly Yakovenko, CEO of Solana Labs, the creator of Solana, about the wild success they've experienced.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pressure's just higher, right? But the work is the same, right?
Okay. When you're giving your elevator pitch, and to many mainstream investors, this is the first time they're hearing about Solana. So I'm curious, what are you telling them? What do you say?
Well, the technology, blockchain is a way to revolutionize finance because it allows software to eliminate risk, right? Like all the human processes that people do in banks and in trading firms and brokerages, that's all can be done with software, can be completely risk-free. You can have like instant global settlement, in 400 milliseconds. So it's a different world.
So how are you differentiating yourself to say, and the nearest comparison I can think of would be Ethereum?
Well, if you ever used Ethereum and Solana, I think the differences are pretty clear. Like the cost and speed.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. Solana is designed primarily to be the cheapest possible way to run censorship resistance around the world, right? And that core piece allows it to be the cheapest possible way to run blockchain systems, to run transactions. So you compare our stack or the stack that the protocol runs with something like Ethereum, you'll see, 10,000 time improvement in price and speed. And that's pretty critical for finance.
And what can you say about the supply, and how did you figure out that problem that Ethereum has in terms of lag, high gas fees, and such?
So my background is spent my career at Qualcomm. It's a company that builds, hardware and protocols for wireless networks. If you have a cell phone in your hand, there's probably a chip in there that was built by Qualcomm. There's probably something on it that I worked on. So it's just kind of, I guess, part of the DNA of our team is that we've built networks that have scaled to billions of people around the world that are focused on cheapest possible way to do communication. Blockchain is another form of communication. It's a really, it's a revolutionary new technology. This idea of perfect censorship resistance has never existed before. So it's a really fun engineering challenge, but it's still a communications network. And we've built it optimized for that purpose, right? How do we send information as fast and cheaply as possible everywhere around the world?
And so who are you seeing building on Solana right now to take advantage of the throughput, the cheaper gas fees, transaction fees rather?
Some of the biggest use cases are, something like a Circle's stablecoin, USDC. Over $2 billion have been issued on Solana already. And something like Serum, which is a central limit order book style exchange that's operating as a smart contract. So imagine everything that NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange do as a single smart contract running in a blockchain. With extremely high guarantees for availability, for security, for uptime, for throughput. This is pretty revolutionary, right? These things could not have been built 10 years ago. They just got built over the last year, and the community that's building on top of these tools and the developers and the tools and the users has grown exponentially.
In terms of that community, where do you see it building the most in terms of geographically? Are there any trends in that regard?
It's been like when you look at our hackathons, like the last hackathon, the DeFi one, had 13,000 registrations, and it was pretty spread all over the world. So, you expect, the things you expect is United States, Europe are the vast majority of the folks, but you see quite a lot of demand coming, from Asia, Africa, even South America.
Well, you mentioned Circle, you mentioned a Serum project, which is led by or co-founded by Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX. We're also hearing about the Degenerate Ape NFT platform and the Aurori. Tell us a bit about that. By the way, and that NFT, the first $1 million NFT got sold, a DGen app on Solana. So congratulations on that.
That's pretty exciting. So NFTs and Solana really exploded after this project that was incubated at Solana called Metaplex built the standard to how to monetize secondary trading. So artists, when they mint an NFT and they want a portion of the secondary sales, in perpetuity, they can define that in software as a smart contract. So it's really almost like all the financial infrastructure that you see in art can be defined as a piece of software, right? And that what really allows artists to now scale globally with extremely high volumes, and the prices that you see like for fine art or high art. That's the really exciting part to this, is that like this financial software is not just eating like trading and the banking system, but everything in the world we do is finance, and the software is able to eat, every part of that.
Okay, and that's another one. It's kind of like the Axie Infinity. Does it feel kind of like everything that is in the Ethereum ecosystem that is doing really well is kind of transferring onto Solana?
I think the reason for that is that, you see stuff with product market fit and teams that want to build it faster and cheaper and scale to a large number of users. They're not looking at, do I build this on Ethereum and grow within the Ethereum ecosystem? Do I build this thing, which is whether it's an NFT art movement or a game, like a new play to earn game, and do I build it for the entire world, right? If your vision is like, I want to build this perfect play to earn game for the entire global gaming community, the underlying chain is a piece of technology, and you're going to pick the cheapest, fastest one. Right. The one that's... Yeah.
But nevertheless, a lot of blockchain developers have learned Solidity already, and so how do you get them to develop on Solana and learn Rust and C, I believe? Yeah.
In my entire career, every 2 years, I had to learn a new stack. So as an engineer, that's just kind of expected. Okay. It's not a big deal. And the folks that can't, those are the ones you don't hire.
Fair enough. All right. And so where do you see Solana going from here?
Well, the network is, what is the goal of any open source project is to, get enough people building and working on it so it's unkillable, because people are having fun just building on it on their free time over the weekend. And this was really like the magic of Linux in the 90s. When Microsoft tried to kill Linux, they didn't understand that no matter what, I was going to continue working on Linux, on the weekend, because I was having fun doing it. I was learning. And that's really where you want your open source community and project to go. And it feels like we're already there, and it's just amazing to see that grow. And my goal is to be, the Linux of Byzantine fault-tolerant operating systems.
How do you see it existing in comparison to Ethereum, to Algorand, to other, or Cardano, even other smart contract protocols within that? Will it be kind of like the way we see Hotmail and Gmail today? But mind you, Hotmail is no longer. Yeah. And just like could that happen to Ethereum? I don't know.
I think these are more, are you comparing like broadcast radio versus internet and like point to point? There's different, they have feature overlap, right? They all do the same thing, but they have such different technologies. There's just some use cases that can run on some versus others. If like the key factor that these systems are optimizing for, if they're useful to somebody, right, then they're going to survive. If they're not, right, then they're not. The way Solana's design is, in mind, literally on our C-level slide deck, it said Solana's blockchain and NASDAQ speed. So the dragon we were trying to slay is like these big firm trading systems like NASDAQ, like NYSE, that maintain a monopoly over their markets, over their data. And you see things like Pyth and you see things like Serum that have really turned that whole model upside down, right? You can have the same exact central limit order book, high-speed trading, globally settled or, and executed in milliseconds, and extremely high-fidelity data from Pyth without any intermediaries. Right, that's the key thing, right? Can you build something that's useful for humans?